And welcome to the Draft Indy podcast. I'm Grant Sinning, and tonight I am joined by Garrett and Brian, and I think Alex will be joining us in just a few minutes. But tonight we wanted to give back and answer some questions, so we hit you guys up on Twitter for about a week, went to Reddit, some other places.
I went to Reddit.
Did go to Reddit, only got a few questions from Reddit, but we're starting to get a following over there on Reddit. They liked the Nuts article from Chris Jones, which was a good article. Alex, that was Alex's first piece for us. If you are listening and haven't read that yet, go check that out. Chris Jones is pretty good. And speaking of Alex, here he is. Hey, Alex, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing well.
So I guess we can just kind of get right into this. We've got, I'd say, 30, 40 questions. And you guys, yeah, it's crazy. Excuse me. And we've got use the hashtag DraftIndyPod, and we'll grab any questions at the end that maybe we haven't gotten to or anything new from what we've been talking about. So we'll just start out right away. Garrett, this question's going right to you. It's the first one on the top of the list. So at Timmy Butter, excellent username by the way.
Wow, I like it already.
Asks, who are some of the sleeper cornerback prospects in the draft?
Well, first of all, I'm not entirely sure what people mean when they say sleeper, because some people have very strict definitions of that word, like people who go and they watch that FCS tape, every day, and they watch hundreds of prospects. A sleeper to them is somebody that none of us would recognize by name. But for me, and I think for most people, it refers to a guy who just maybe from a smaller school, not a lot of people have heard of, doesn't get a ton of hype, may or may not have been invited to the combine, and maybe a mid or late round pick. And with respect to this cornerback class, there aren't a lot of those guys that I really like, and that has to do a lot with what I perceive to be a lack of athleticism in this class in general, but especially in the cornerback group. There's not a lot of really good size athletes here. I really like, especially when I'm looking for outside corners, guys with long arms, and height is good too. So at the top of this class, you've got guys like Jalen Ramsey and then Artie Burns. And then after that, it's just a lot of guys who are probably better suited to play, the nickel or something, at least physically. And of those guys, I don't see a ton in the middle or late rounds that are really even as good as prospects as what we already have in Deshaun Smith. Except for one guy that I just discovered really recently, and his name is James Bradbury from Samford. And he is, I think, 6'1", and he's got really long arms. And he's ran, I think, like a 4.5, which is pretty good because he's a heavier cornerback. And he is very aggressive, both in his pass defense and his run defense. And it really, that physicality really shines through, and so does his athleticism, I think, and his range allows him to make some good plays, even though he doesn't have, that perfect technique of looking for the ball yet. In fact, his technique in general is something that he really does need to clean up. His footwork is a bit of a wreck, but he does have some good agility and, more importantly, balance, which is otherwise your footwork's going to get you in a lot of trouble.
This is probably a stupid question because it's Garrett, but did you say Stanford or Samford?
Sam Ford.
Oh,
yeah.
Stanford.
Yeah. No, yeah.
Who was a DB who just came out of Samford?
Jaquiski.
Jaquiski Tart. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I liked him a lot last year. I don't know how he played.
I think he played well for the Niners.
Him and Jimmy Ward, they're both really good young defenders.
Yeah. Yeah, because I knew it was Samford, and I was trying to remember. There was the guy at a Lindenwood a few years back who everyone considered a sleeper, but I think that was Pierre Desir.
Mm-hmm.
And he's done okay for the Browns. He's played over Justin Gilbert. But
good for him.
That wasn't too difficult, I don't imagine. So let's talk about. So you mentioned Artie Burns. Let's talk about him for just a few seconds here.
I have no idea what his stock is at this point.
I don't know either. I've heard a lot more about him lately. I have mixed feelings on his tape. He's got really, really good ball skills. He's very fluid. He's a very natural athlete. There's just something I don't really know how to describe. I watched 3 games. I just don't know what to describe. I'm not a fan of him. But yeah.
Is it like the it factor?
I think it might have something to do with the way he plays in man. Like, he doesn't use his size in that respect as well as I think he could. and his technique in general isn't that great. So him and Bradbury really are some what I would consider to be really ideal athletes at the cornerback position to start on the perimeter, especially Burns. He's one of the best athletes I've seen, most fluid, natural athletes at cornerback in this class after Ramsey. But, yeah, they both do need some technical work. But I like both. I would even take Burns in the second round just because I think he is that prototypical athlete at cornerback.
You think his upside, even with not being able to play physical, would put him in that second round conversation?
And with Robinson on the roster, we are in a position to get that guy who doesn't need to start immediately on the outside.
That's also true. Okay, let's move on to our next question. At blessed _ to bless. Have you heard any rumor, or can you imagine any possibility in which the Colts take a chance on Jalen Smith? I have not heard anything about it.
If they're asking if I can see it, yes. Rumor, haven't heard anything about it. Jalen Smith, I have no idea what. Like you said, Artie Burns, no idea. Jalen Smith, I have no idea what his stock is. People are still putting him top 20. People are putting him early second round. I think is the most popular, but anywhere.
I would be surprised if he dropped to the third or even later. I mean, his knee might just he might never play football again, dude. It was really bad for him.
I mean, Odigizua was like a late first-round guy, and he had that
his knee
really
wasn't that bad.
No, it was his hip. He had a terrible hip, and he dropped to the third to the Giants, and people were saying he had round one tape. And so Jalen Smith's definitely easily has a round one tape, but I can see third round.
I mean, I think I could see a team who's got a lot of picks to take Jalen Smith as a, hey, just in case. That's kind of what the 49ers did a few years ago.
Yeah, he's the prototypical 49er pick of the guy rehabbing off of the Balky always loves his torn ACL guys, and Jalen fits that mold perfectly as both a player and somebody injured.
There were so many.
And they have 13 picks, I believe, which we could have 13 picks, but
might as well just mock it now. To the Niners.
I mean,
I really don't think he's going to be the guy because we know that they like other linebackers in this class. And again, Jalen Smith, like his football career might be very close to over.
I just don't think we have the capital.
Actually, that bad.
I think from what we've been led to believe, I think day 2 is going to be way optimistic for him. I think it's like Ifo Epke-Olumu was a fringe first-round corner maybe last year, and he had a similar type injury, or at least similar severity. He went in the 7th round, and I think he's going to be closer to that, certainly, than a first-round pick.
I mean, but when you turn on his tape, what do you see? You see a first-round guy, easy. But this injury is very significant. Marcus Lattimore had the same injury. He rehabbed for 2.5, maybe 3 years, and just retired. I mean, he couldn't come back. If he's got the nerve.
Out that Marcus Lattimore was shocked that anybody would draft him because he thought he was never going to play football again, and that anybody would spend a draft pick on him. To him, like even the player seemed ridiculous.
So I'm in the area where we have 6 picks. I just don't know if we've got the draft capital to take a risk. I mean, if it's the 7th round and he's there, why not? I mean, realistically, why not? But I don't know.
But don't get your hopes up with him. Yeah. Not only don't get your hopes up with regards to us taking him, and don't get your hopes up for his career. Like, it's really bad.
Yeah, I agree. Let's move on to our next question. Kind of sad there, but at Zach McCormick asks, who is the best edge rusher who will realistically be there at 18? For me, I from what I've seen more and more, I honestly think Spence might be there.
McShay didn't have Spence until round 2 in his. And, I mean, it's McShay. Like, he's got the inside info. I think he had him. I don't want to say it was Titan. It was like the first 4 or 5 picks for round 2. So
that's surprising to me, though, because everything I hear about his interviews, they all seem to be going really well. Mm-hmm. He had a really good Senior Bowl performance between those 2 things. His combine wasn't really spectacular, noteworthy either way, I guess. So I don't really see what would have killed the first-round hype.
I'm not sure where Walter football has him. I mean, we can talk trash about Walter all he wants, but he's got, I mean, the insiders he has are really usually spot on. I haven't checked where he is, but I know McShay had him early round 2.
Yeah, I'm totally down for him at 19, but I think or 18. I think a lot of teams are doing his homework on him because I think he's already worked out with the Colts, and I think I saw either today or yesterday where he's got another 9 private workouts scheduled. So teams are definitely doing their homework on Spence, and they should. Being permanently banned from the Big Ten, that's you got to ask why. He liked his ecstasy, I guess. So we'll have to see. Yeah, that's what some of those reports at Ohio State were talking about. So Zeke Elliott too, I think is what I saw. But anyways, I mean, Spence could be there. I still think people like Agba, Calhoun,
Lawson.
I don't know if Lawson's going to be there, man. I think his tape
I don't
is
think
too
so.
good.
Well, we need to figure out still what's up with his shoulder, because he had a shoulder injury flare-up, I believe, during the Combine, and that his medical rechecks in 2 weeks before the draft will be as important as any of those first-round guys.
Yeah,
I
mean,
think Lawson goes really high, though. Like, really high.
Yeah, if
I
he
can
checks out, I think he's like 9 to Tampa is a realistic floor. Like,
yeah,
Wow.
I agree.
I think his ceiling is 5 to Jacksonville.
yeah,
I could see that as well.
They really need someone opposite Fowler, and I think it's going to be him if Bosa's gone.
Yeah, I really, yeah, because Bosa, everything you've heard recently, Bosa could be there at 5 for him. I doubt it. Depending on the quarterbacks and if people like Ramsey more than Bosa, because I think Tunsil's pretty much kind of locked himself up there. Because if he's not, I think if Tunsil's there for the Chargers got to take him. If Ramsey's there for the Chargers, they got to take him too.
I don't. One quick thing about the Chargers, I was thinking about this, is the Chargers really can't take an offensive tackle because I believe 4 out of their 5 offensive line starters have extensions and long 3+ year contracts.
Really?
So they can't really play anybody at tackle. They got Barksdale and King Dunlap. And they can't kick anybody inside. So Tunsil.
They already picked in Fluker inside.
Right.
Yeah.
And so Tunsil is obviously, to me at least, the best player in this class. But if he doesn't go to Tennessee, I'm going to be really interested to see where he ends up, because Dallas can't take him unless they want to play him at right tackle. And the Jaguars, they probably would take him, but they have 2 left tackles with Jokel and Beecham, and then they just signed Laramie, the guy from the Cowboys. Yeah, Parnell.
Yeah, that top of the draft is going to be interesting because I still think 2 quarterbacks are going in the top 5. I think I really do.
We want, quarterbacks and linemen to go early so that guys will fall to us. And if Bosa and Buckner and Lawson all go in that top 15, then there is, I think, a realistic chance that Spence could be there at 18.
Yeah, no, I agree. Let's move on to the next one. This is one of our friends in South America. At Costa Felipe, safety is a big need. Who are the best safeties round by round that we could get? I don't know. We're going to go round by round here, but we can talk about safeties. First round
one is kind of out of the question.
I think so too. I think
Ramsey
is it.
If they reached for Carl Joseph, I get it, but Carl Joseph round 1 isn't.
Yeah, especially with his injury. If he's injured, I forget where, but I don't think he's not going round 1.
But round 2, round 3 always seems to be the hot spot.
Yeah, I think round 2 or round 3 would actually be a really good spot for us to take a safety this year.
Everybody got Joseph for next Monday to come out, so I like him round 2. I'm trying to remember who else.
Darian Thompson.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if he'll necessarily be there. His combine wasn't great, and so if he could fall from that, I don't really know, but I like him a lot. He's perfect for that interchangeable safety role. You said Carl Joseph. Justin
Simmons probably going to be round 3 or round 4.
His combine was insane.
And it's weird because he doesn't play like that. When you watch him, he doesn't seem like a great athlete, but those are unprecedented numbers in this class, at least. There's nothing close to that from the safety class.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think he's probably if he's not the best DB athletically in this draft, then I would be surprised from his combine numbers. He was 70th percentile plus on like everything, which is ridiculous.
Better than Ramsey even?
I mean, as an athlete, I think so.
Wow.
Go look at his. You can look at his mock draftable, man. It's pretty nuts.
Real quickly, a few guys I like. Sean Davis is playing corner at Maryland right now, but at safety, I think he can do a lot of damage as like a third-round pick. I know a lot of guys on Twitter are really high on him, and I started to watch him, thinking of him as a safety, and I get it. Jalen Mills is kind of the opposite. He is much more suited as a corner, in my opinion, but if they wanted to play him at safety, I guess, why not? And the safety that we're going to target, if we target a safety in this draft, is a safety in the mold of Mike Adams more than Clayton Geathers, in my opinion, because I think they like Clayton enough that they'll lock him in as the future strong safety. And
Can't see him taking Keanu Neal.
right, any of the Von Bell, Keanu Neal, any of these thumpers don't really fit what they need. They need a single high, which is Darian Thompson makes a lot of sense. And I know he had the bad combine, but as a round 2 pick, I think you can trust the film in that case and take, because he's the perfect center fielder for this team.
Jesus.
And he's just a great player, and he's been for this entire year and the year before.
Yeah, I just pulled up Justin Simmons' mock draftable chart. 94th percentile in the 60-yard shuttle, 98th percentile in the 20-yard shuttle, 94th percentile in the 3-cone, 82nd percentile broad jump, 91 percentile in the vertical jump. 40 wasn't necessarily as great, but I mean, that's pretty insane. And I'll go to my next tab over here.
That's not Ramsey's combine, though.
No, that's just Justin Simmons.
I know. I mean, like, Ramsey's probably.
Yeah, no. This is Ramsey right here. Not.
Broad jump in 40 time, though.
Yeah, he beat him in the 40 time. That's for sure. So, Justin Simmons, Jonah Toll from USA Today, the Draft Wire, has been
pounding the table
for him, and I liked him. I've watched a couple games of his, and I think he would be an interesting pick probably in the 3rd round for me. I don't know if I'm going to take him any higher than that.
Yeah, as much as I like him, he's for being an athletic safety, I really don't think he is best suited as a center field or single high safety. On like Mike Adams last year was playing 75% of his passing snaps as the single high deep safety. So I don't think that, or not a single high, but just a deep safety in a cover 2. So I don't think that that's where he's best suited.
Yeah. Moving on, another friend of the show. He's a big supporter of ours. At Old Colts Fan. Draft Scout ranks Ryan Kelly as the 26th prospect. I'd grab him and be happy as a clam. Is that an overreach? No. No. I don't think so. For me, that's an easy one. You take Ryan Kelly at 18. It's not the flashiest pick. Might not be the best value pick, but he's a damn good football player, and he would make our offensive line pretty insane. Or not insane, I guess, but a lot better than it is.
Mm-hmm.
We're not going to spend much time on that one. This is an interesting question. At MKSports_, which players do we want teams in our division to draft? Players that you think won't work out for those teams. That's kind of an interesting question.
Houston, Hackenberg.
Yes. That would be awesome.
Titans, go Tunsil.
Yeah, we want the AFC South tradition of drafting offensive tackles in that first 3 draft pick range to continue, because that has worked very well for us.
Yeah. Titans take Tunsil. Jaguars.
I think Jaguars take. It's either going to be Bosa or Shaq. I think they're taking that strong DN this year.
I'll tell you who I don't want the Jaguars to take, and that's Miles Jack.
Because he's going to shut down Dwayne.
Yeah.
That's someone I do not want the Jaguars to get. We've talked. We joke on the Jaguars, but honestly, sometimes you start looking, seeing at some of the things that they've done, and I mean, maybe the Gus can't do it, Gus Bradley, maybe Blake Bortles just had an anomaly year last year, but we got to start looking out for them, I think.
I remember I was just like looking back at old Colts film and like seeing all like the Jack Doyle like tight end flats, and like I'm just imagining Miles Jack just like chasing him in person.
That'd be an interception.
Miles Jack, one guy we don't want in our division. Jalen Ramsey, probably another guy we don't want around.
I'm okay with anyone in
I'm
our
not
division
really
taking
afraid
Bosa.
of Bosa.
Yeah, I'm not afraid of Bosa. I wouldn't be afraid of Bosa either.
I think Tunsil is the right pick for the Titans at 1, but if the Titans pick him, I'm not going to get any more scared of him. It's a tackle, he's the right pick, but I'm not losing sleep because they have a tackle.
We can never freak out about the Titans when Mike Mularkey is their head coach. Like that should be the rule, right? Wait, he's their coach, right? Yeah, he is. Yeah, that's awful. That's just awful.
His name literally means just fooling around and silliness.
But I'm interested to see who Houston goes with because I think a lot of people think they're going wide receiver.
They've been linked to Braxton Miller a lot, and as much as I love Braxton, that would be a reach.
Go ahead, Houston.
No, but like, I think Corey Coleman, Will Fuller. I still think Will Fuller goes.
I think both of those are reaches too.
Yeah,
I agree.
I'm not saying that they won't be. Yeah.
Yeah, the Texans are in an interesting position. They pick, what, 21, 22?
22.
So, I mean, I don't really see any defensive player there that's going to spark their interest. I think they're pretty much guaranteed to go offense.
But yeah, they could take Coleman or Fuller or some deep threat, to
pair with
Hopkins. And that would make their receiving core scary, but it's not going to make their passing game scary.
No, not with Brock Osweiler as their quarterback. They're $17 million a year quarterback.
Speaking of Ryan Kelly, the Texans just lost their center, and that makes a lot of sense as a late first-round pick, so you can't really get mad even though you're taking a center, and I think he justifies that pick there.
I could see that as well.
Don't they need a right tackle?
Dwayne Brown's still there, right? Or not Dwayne Brown.
Left tackle?
He's their left tackle, that's right.
Derek Newton, I think it was Brendan Williams from North Carolina they drafted, but I know he didn't work out.
Yeah. Catastrophe year for us last year. I still think we're the team to beat, and
yeah, I don't mind AFC South taking offensive line because Colts aren't going to be rushing the passer. They're not going to be getting sacks no matter who's there. So.
That's true. Let's move on to @DFeely14. Decker and Conklin are both there at 18. Who do you take? And that's kind of his question. In a nutshell. And the answer is not Conklin. We could probably just give up our pick at 18 if it's Conklin. Just go ahead and just pass it to the next team. And I've been really hard on Conklin.
It would be pretty great if Grigson did the pick that everybody wants him to do, and then it ended up being terrible, though.
Right, like
that would be a new development. That'd be interesting.
That'd be. Oh my God, Ryan Grigson took Jack Conklin after
he ruined Conklin.
After 7 months. After 7 months of everyone drafting Conklin. That would be kind of ironic and kind of funny. Decker to me is tackle 2. We've had this discussion before. I think he's tackle 2. In my opinion, you got him at tackle 4.
I still like Stanley a lot, and then I just watched Spriggs. There's a lot. I know after Joseph, my next article is going to be on Spriggs because I think he's really interesting. I think he has like a huge ceiling, but I'm willing to take his ceiling over Decker's right now with his athleticism.
Okay. Would you take him at 18?
I'd prefer an interior guy, but I mean, it'd be I don't know. I wouldn't love it.
What was that?
Just kick him inside.
Yeah, you can kick any tackle right inside to guard, and he'll be
Spriggs is only 302, so he's gonna struggle as his tackle to begin with. So
yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Okay. Next one. Another question from @CostaFelipe. How high are you guys on Darren Lee? I'm not.
High on him as a player, not on this team.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's fair.
If I had somebody like, I don't know, Bobby Wagner or some other stud linebacker already on this team, or like a Dante Hightower or somebody who's really good against the run, and I wanted to add that chase linebacker to my core, I would, be all over Lee, but he's not the guy you really want to build around, and we are kind of thinking about starting a new linebacker unit here. So we need it to be like our guy, the guy in the middle of that defense, and then we can add playmakers likely to it, the mixture, maybe later. But I don't think he's going to make that kind of impact that we want our first-round linebacker to make, just because of the situation he'd be coming into.
And I'm gonna morph this into a question that I know is coming later on my little sheet here. From Reddit user alternate_ending 74. Why doesn't anyone want/like Reggie Ragland? We like Reggie Ragland here, honestly. I mean, Garrett was just talking about rebuilding a linebacker core. Reggie Ragland would be the perfect guy to do it. I think he's one of those guys you could label a field general and not be a stretch.
He can just tackle, and then that's all I really care about at this point.
Yeah.
I know we talk a lot about, or at least Colts Twitter does, coverage with regard to linebackers, because we think that's been like a huge problem with this team. That's not a linebacker's primary job, though. I mean, their job is to tackle people. Primarily.
Yeah, they're a lot better at covering than they are at tackling too.
Yeah, I know that's another thing. Like, and we think, oh, but what about Gronk? Well, Gronk's gonna be Gronk, and we can never stop Gronk. So just don't lose sleep.
So we have the others for.
Oh, shut up. No, but like, I think that people are, maybe in Colts Twitter, are just underrating Ragland because they perceive him as this like a slow, lumbering guy
They perceive him as the Quell Jackson.
1965. Yeah, and I don't think that's really fair to him.
I think his strengths are the same as the Quell Jackson role, but I think realistically he could be better from the.
He's not Denzel Perryman.
Isn't Perryman good?
Was good as a rookie, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Well, as a prospect.
Yes, he's much better as Denzel as a prospect.
Because people were.
Well, I might have been wrong about Denzel as a prospect because he turned out to be good. So, like, I don't know.
Yeah, I guess that's true. We had the mocking. We had a mock the mock, and it was on Denzel Perryman. Because, anyways. At Tommy in _Bond says, what are your expectations for last year's injured rookies?
I like this one.
Anderson, Smith, and Dorsett. I don't think Anderson's back at the beginning of the year. He probably starts on PUP, realistically. He had a torn ACL.
Yeah, when? What week was that?
The Denver game.
Yep.
Oh, damn.
Which is week 9.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think he'll start on the PUP list.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see who else.
Jones is healthy, right?
He should be. There's still a question about it. He is for now. Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll
For
see.
the moment.
Dujon Smith, I don't quite remember what his injury was.
I thought he was injured a couple times, but
He
I don't
was
remember
injured a couple
exactly.
times. Maybe it was something with his pec.
Yeah.
That sounds kind of familiar.
I don't know if they even want him to. I mean, I think they're going to put Robinson on the outside. Some people said, oh, he can play in the slot. But, yeah, they need him on the outside because Butler can't play outside, and I don't think Dijon is ready for that either. So that leaves Dijon's opening as he would have to basically take the job from Butler as a slot corner. And I don't know if they're ready to give him that, even though I think he certainly could do it because Butler, if no other reason, that Butler has not been very good the last couple of years. So I don't know. We'll just have to see how that develops.
Yeah, and with Dorsett, I'm fairly optimistic to see what we can see from Dorsett with healthy luck.
He'll be
I
fine.
went back to that Tennessee game, and they made them the focal point in that passing game towards the end, and he performed well.
Yeah, he did. He's really good after the catch, which is
That
what they drafted
touchdown
him to
was
do.
insane.
Yes,
Where
I
he jumped between two dudes. Oh, that was insane.
I think it'll be interesting to see what we can do with Dorsett moving forward. Obviously, picks criticized a lot. If he ends up being a good player, who cares? Whatever. It's past. You can't change it.
I think he's going to be a good player.
I think he does. Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think he's going to be a good player, and I think that this year will be an interesting year because they got rid of the veteran guy that they've been using. So, I mean, the doors are wide open for Hilton, Moncrief, and Dorsett as the trio, and that'll be pretty cool to watch. I think they're very, very fast. And if Moncrief can continue his development path from year 1 to 2 to this third year, yeah, that'll be a scary core. Yeah. At McLeod10, do you think tight end is a need, and which ones in the draft would fit best?
No.
Yeah, I'm not thinking it's a need right now.
We
I like
only have
Jack
6
Doyle.
picks. I'm not using a pick on the tight end who's probably going to be a third-string player.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, obviously Dwayne Allen just got a big contract. Jack Doyle, our boy, whatever his Twitter handle is awesome. It's like Big Dog or something like that. Or I don't know what it is, but I like it. I think he's pretty much the number 2 guy, and they just signed a guy today. He's probably just a camp body. They've still got Eric Swoop. So I don't know. I'm not seeing it as a need, and to be honest, I haven't watched a single tight end because I've heard that this class is pretty bad.
Mm-hmm. It is. Yeah.
It always seems like lately tight end class has been kind of bad. I like the Jason Morrow class. Was it Jason Morrow and
Ebron.
Ebron? That was pretty good. I like both those guys.
Yeah.
Was that 2013? That was 2014.
Yeah.
I think.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, at Pato_DRS, how do you guys think ownership attitude, such as Irsay's comment on concussions, impact the team overall? It's a good question, but I honestly have no clue.
I'm not an insider. I don't know. I'm not Stephen Holder.
I mean,
we've always thought of.
We don't. It's not like we know Irsay's nuts. We know he's a lunatic. I don't know what else we're supposed to say about him.
And I assume the players know that too. So everything he says comes with a grain of salt.
Yeah, no, I don't know. That's a really interesting comment, and I mean, it's not really something we can.
And it seems like players mostly. I mean, I know they like Irsay, but players are Pagano. Like they love Pagano. Pagano's a player coach. We've seen that we saw that at the end last year when they beat the Titans week 17, got back to 8-8. Pagano made that huge speech saying it was the best day of his life, even though he's married and has 2 kids.
And beat cancer.
Yeah.
Well, they're not fans, but I mean, like I think Pagano and Irsay, I think we can say have treated their players pretty well. Can we agree on that?
I mean, honestly, like Irsay's problems aside, I love the dude as an owner. I mean, he gives away a lot. I mean, there was one day he went out to training camp and just started handing out $100 bills.
He was high as balls, I guarantee you.
He probably was, yeah. I mean,
But
still,
he's of the Colts community.
He's not genuine.
I think Welker did the same thing, right? And then that was like the next day we found out he was like on acid or something, or was it?
He was at the racetrack on ecstasy.
And then he was walking around like.
Yeah, those pictures are pretty funny because you can tell he's rolling hard.
And everyone was like, "Oh, what a guy Welker is!" And then the next day.
Okay, here's a kind of a funny one. At Bucksot USA, if Trent Richardson rushes for 1,000 yards, when do you think the Colts move to London? I don't think he's going to rush for 10 yards because I don't think he makes it through training camp.
Are those like correlated with each other?
Is he even on it for any? Where is
He's
he?
on the Ravens.
He's on the Ravens. Okay.
He's on the Ravens. And I mean, when you hear the story, we were just kind of talking about this earlier. He failed 15 times. He was fined 15 times for being overweight, and then he barely made it on the Raiders for a game or 2 or 3. I don't even know. His prospect. I think he's done in the NFL.
But is that like correlated to the Colts moving to London?
No, it's not. It's
okay.
I think this is just kind of a.
I don't think is any team really moving to London? People have been talking about that for years. I don't see how that's going to work though.
I don't think it'll ever happen because it was Jacksonville or the Rams were the teams to do it. Mm-hmm. Jacksonville's owner Shad Khan, yes, owns teams in London, owns a soccer team over there, is from there, but he's personally put a ton of money into that Jacksonville stadium and their practice facilities. I just don't see any team ever going to London.
Let's get one in Mexico City.
I think that's going to happen first, because having to travel across, I think it's just going to be too much.
The time zone change will be too much.
Mm-hmm.
Moving on. At Colts fan and at Colts 4 Life fan, William Jackson III, good or bad? He's good.
Yeah.
Good,
He's good.
but
At
not
18,
for 18.
I think that's appropriate value, but we don't need. After this Robinson signing, I'm not prioritizing corner.
It would
If-
make the corner class. It would make the corner depth great.
yes. If Hargreaves is there at 18, I'm all for that. I'm not, because he's way better than William Jackson, in my opinion. William Jackson is good, and if we didn't sign Patrick Robinson, I'd be down at 18.
Say
But
someone
no.
wants to, say someone from the back end wants to trade up. Say like Paxton Lynch falls past like the Rams, or like a QB falls past the Rams and like gets in that middle spot, and Colts trade down to the end of the first round, and
Sure.
they take William Jackson later. I'm fine with that.
Sure.
I think he's going high, though. I think a lot of people are going to like him.
Mhm.
Yeah. I mean,
getting
he's
Kevin
way
Johnson treatment.
he's way better than the other cornerback from Houston, DJ. Or what was his name? The guy who had the
Hayden.
torn. DJ Hayden. Yeah, he's way better than he ever was as a prospect, and so I mean, he's good.
Jackson's weird because his concerns on tape were basically anything having to do with long speed, and then he ran the best 40
Yeah.
of any corner in the class, so people don't really know what to do with him anymore.
I think people just throw that long speed question at any prospect from a smaller school.
Yeah.
I really think that's just what they do because they aren't confident in their ability to like measure speed against a lower
Right.
level of competition.
Yeah. So yeah, good player at 18. I don't know. This one's easy for me. This should be probably one of the fastest ones tonight. At Jake Cam 1010, should the Colts look into bringing Ahmad Bradshaw back? The answer is yes. Until he gets hurt, then cut him every time. Just bring him back. I don't care. He's good. I mean, you watch him. He's so good. But when he gets hurt, cut
We're
him. I mean,
signing Ahmad Bradshaw at 1-year contracts 2020, man.
yeah.
I'm with it.
I'm down. I'm totally down for that. I like this question from at DJ Atword PT. If Joshua Garnett and Ryan Kelly are there in the second round, who do you take?
Kelly.
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 I like Arnett a lot.
They're both really good, but Kelly.
Yeah. Kelly. Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say Kelly. I'm living with Thornton if I can get Kelly at center.
Go ahead and live with him.
Yeah. Now you'll hear someone say, "Well, will Andrew Luck live with Thornton?" Yes.
Like
He will.
worst comes worst. Wright moves in the guard and Denzel Good's right tackle.
Yeah.
Like I think that's worst case scenario. If it's
That might be best case scenario.
Yeah,
I don't think that's what I want to see happen until we find out, Denzel Good isn't good.
I mean, I still like Wright's better at tackle.
Yeah, that's where I think he really. I mean, wasn't he like the?
He was the second-ranked right tackle for PFF, right under Mitch Schwartz.
More importantly, though, we know that our friend Ben Gundy just loves him.
Yeah, hey, yeah, Ben Gundy.
He's better
He
than
loves him.
PFF.
I love him. I like watching offensive linemen. I don't have a meticulous, charting every play that Ben Gundy does, but Denzel Good is pretty good tackle. We've already talked about that. This question from the Carpetron 13 about Conklin and Taylor. If they're gone, who do the Colts go after? Anybody. I hope we're taking anybody over them anyways. I don't know. Sorry, the Carpetron 13. We're skipping your question. At the only Midland, who do you expect to share snaps with Patrick Robinson in nickel situations? I think we already kind of hit on this. I think Butler plays. I think Dujon is pretty solidified at CB4 right now.
It's
Unless-
Butler's last year, I think, on his contract.
Yeah.
So
And honestly, they could still cut him.
They could.
If he cut him after June 1st, they're saving money. So
that's a
we'll
shame
just-
because I always really liked Butler as a personality.
yeah,
But,
he's got some of that
he just
that
hasn't-
swagger.
Yeah, he just hasn't really lived up to that year in which they. I think it was his contract year.
2013.
Yeah, he was. He looked pretty good there, and then the last couple of years just hasn't really shown anything. So
Well, if he plays good in this contract year again, Darius Butler played very, very poor during some games. I know it was definitely beginning of the season he played poor. I know the Carolina game, I think it was, he played really bad. But I'm not really complaining about him as a QB4 or CB4.
Well, he would be the third one. I mean, if he
Well,
Yeah,
was.
if Dijon beats him out.
It's his
Well,
job.
that's yeah.
Yeah, it's
I
his
think
job
it's-
unless Dijon beats him out, but I don't think that should be the likely scenario at this point.
um, at Beaver Punch asks, who would you project if we took the BHRA, which is best handsome rating available at 18?
Ooh.
That's that's not Conklin. Conklin's an ugly mofo.
Decker.
It's Decker. I think Decker. I mean, hey, look, no homo. Decker is a good-looking dude.
All right, hold on.
I don't know what
Check
Spriggs
this out.
Yeah, look up Spriggs. I mean, I'm gonna pull up a picture of Decker right now. We can look at that glorious face if you guys want. I mean,
Spriggs is kind of rough looking. He's got that Henry look to
Is
him.
it a rugged look? Oh wow! Damn, Decker.
yeah, man, Taylor
Look at
Decker.
his hair.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, see?
Is it the one where he's like posing with those two helmets?
Yeah.
Wait, I'm looking for that one.
Hold on, I got you right here.
We have a pretty handsome offensive line already.
Yeah.
We do.
So we gotta continue. Like, man,
Here you
this is
go.
a pretty solid
Look at
argument.
that. I mean, look at him. Look at him. I mean, realistically, I mean, he's a handsome dude. Maybe not the hair. Whoa, whoa.
Get out of here,
Yeah.
Fleener.
Yeah, he got that Fleener haircut.
Oh,
No.
damn,
But
it really looks
He's
like
way
Fleener
more
there.
menacing than Fleener could ever hope to be, because
Yeah.
Fleener is a soft dude. And I still love Jarrell Freeman for those comments forever. And I'm gonna be sad. I'm sad that he's gone because
And Perry.
yeah. That was one of the best things I've ever seen.
Perry tweeted at Dwayne Allen, a guy who plays in a totally different unit of the team, and Perry's only been there 1 year. I can't imagine he's like super great friends with Dwayne Allen already. He just, I like to think that tweet was just totally throwing shade at Fleener.
He's probably dealt with him for 5 or 6 years now, and he's just like,
Yeah,
man, I hate this guy. I just hate this guy.
I like this Dwayne guy better.
Okay.
Is there any other handsome prospect? I think Decker really.
Hey, that's why I got a 10 out of 10. But that's whatever. We're gonna move on from that. Another question from at the only Minlin. What do you guys expect to see differently in the secondary as we go from Lowry to Gaithers?
I think this is a question for Alex. Probably knows best.
Gathers is going to. He's more of that prototypical in the box safety. They used Lowry in the box a fair amount, but that Gathers' game more is as the thumper strong safety who is going to have to play a lot in man-to-man coverage. Can he do that? I haven't seen that yet, but I hope he can. When he was playing as a middle linebacker this year, most of his snaps were in, or not most, but a lot of his snaps were in zone. Most of his meaningful snaps were in zone. Other than that, he was covering running backs, which is not the job of a safety typically anyway. So you're going to have to, if it's still Adams and Gathers, then you're going to have to get a little creative. Adams is probably going to have to play a little more man coverage than he did last year. I think towards the end of the year, speaking of Darius Butler, they were using Darius, and I know I'm doing this Texans game right now, and they're playing Darius Butler as the strong safety essentially, which is
my God.
not working well. But I wouldn't like.
I told you guys, they don't care who they have at safety. It's amazing. They'll put me at safety.
Like we're trying to find roles for Deshaun Smith. Why not put him at free safety? While we're
He
at
hits
it.
harder than Butler.
Right. So. Sorry, 1 second. Gathers is gonna make more plays in the run game than Lowry could, and I think he could be used as that tight end cover, as that Gronk cover, better than Lowry could. So maybe that changes up their matchup a little, but it's still gonna be mostly the same cover one with Gathers covering the tight end.
I'm still not totally sold on Gathers.
Yeah. I think a lot of this is he was he was liked a lot pre-draft, but
I didn't really get that either. I'm not just basing this on what I saw from him as a rookie. Do you agree with me on this? What did you think of his rookie tape? I mean, of his college tape.
it's hard because they would often pair him with DeQuell, so he looks a lot better than DeQuell in coverage. But he played as a safety. I didn't see it. He is still doing the same things he did in college, which is being a little undisciplined and being kind of lost in zone coverage, which is not a good look for a safety. And what value really does a thumping strong safety have anymore? Like, you're gonna do okay against the run, which that's great, but you have to be able to cover in this league, and I'm still not sure he can.
Interesting.
Yeah,
I'm excited to see when you get that project done. The results from your charting of the defense.
I was really excited when we got him because I didn't know much about him at the day of the draft, and some guys I really respect on Twitter, I think Ryan Riddle really loves him.
Yeah, Ryan Riddle's a big fan.
I watched Matt Waldman RSP with him, and he made him seem like a really good player.
Yeah,
I was on board.
I watched a couple games besides the one they did, and I was not sold at all on what he was doing in coverage or tackling, and so
we'll see.
Yeah, for being a strong safety, and he's not a good tackler. For being a person whose game is a true strong safety, should be predicated against being solid against the run. He's not a good tackler.
Did he even lay anybody out?
He did.
Rookie?
Not really.
Not yet, but I remember there's one where he does clock somebody pretty good, but like that was what you were expecting. You were expecting Bob Sanders 2.0.
Mm-hmm.
And he's not that at all.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's not that, and he's also not as good at coverage as Lowry or any of these other guys. So, plugging him into strong safety and hoping that'll do well is
fourth, fifth round.
Fourth round.
Yeah.
I don't know. Fourth round. I don't know how much he actually played. I still haven't actually seen a lot of him, but I'm still going with the progression. The Colts have always been able, no matter who Garrett said, it doesn't matter who's at safety, they'll put anyone back there. But it always seems that the safety is playing pretty well in whatever they have.
I don't know about always. When it was Adams and Lowry, it seemed, or even Adams and Sergio, it seemed okay. Wait, did they play together? I don't even remember.
They're gonna put Winston Guy out there. Realistically,
they will.
So. I'm looking, for what it's worth, at PFF's stupid grades that they have now. Gaithers was number 97 from last year.
As a safety or a linebacker?
As a safety. So there's that. Let's move on to the next question, I guess. I like this question. We haven't really kind of hit on this, but we've talked about it a little bit. It's Reddit user Spartan7741. Why is it in so many mock drafts where we are projected linemen, does the mocker not account for both good and rights? I think the answer is simple. People still think Mewhort
plays the right tackle.
Yeah, exactly. These are the guys who are like, yeah, Mewhort would be way better inside where he was.
When Jeremiah said that, I could not believe it. Like, I get if you're like a draft nick and you don't know everything about every offensive line. Like, when you're Daniel freaking Jeremiah, like, you should know that Jack Mewhort played 13 games at guard. Like, they have to have someone at NFL.com that does research.
That does research on this.
There are literal jobs for huge media companies, like even just games. All they do is literally research that to make sure you don't sound like a fucking idiot. And Daniel Jeremiah was a fucking idiot because he realized that Jack Mewhort played 13 games at guard.
I get that, but it is really hard with 32 NFL teams, and you've got a podcast and YouTube show and all this other stuff that you got to do as Daniel Jeremiah to get confused. And I don't blame people for not knowing who rights and good are, or where Mewhort plays most of the time. But yeah, it is annoying. But yeah, at the same time, it's really obnoxious how everybody is in the same state of ignorance about this team, like constantly.
Honestly, I bet every single person on these NFL.com, whatever, they watched the Buffalo Bills game and the New York Jets game, and they were like, "Oh shit, this team is bad." And then that was it. Like the rest of the season, they just didn't care.
Yeah.
I don't know, and
You would think with the influence PFF has had that like I feel like PFF hasn't even done their own part. I'm not saying that like that's their job to advocate.
Because they don't like us.
Yeah, but like I feel like it's I'm surprised like PFF hasn't done
They
more.
have
Like,
though. I think they have though.
really, maybe I'm just not seeing it. I feel like
I mean,
they would
they're not like writing articles, stop mocking tackles to the Colts.
No,
I
we're
mean,
talking
but
about what Wrights and like Muhort have done, like
yeah, no,
respectively, and
and I think
like the
that
Colts
they've
have three good linemen. It's just two very, very bad positions that are holding it back.
and I honestly think that they've done a lot of advocating for interior needs help. Interior needs help.
Hmm.
So I mean that's the best they can do. I mean I asked at veteran scout Brandon Thorne to look at Denzel Good at some point. He said he might get around to it. I'd be interested to see what he says on him. Haven't really heard anyone else big, really talk about Denzel Good. It might be worth us kind of going back and taking a look. He only played 4 games. When everyone who's listening to us probably reads Colts Authority as well, so they know Ben Gundy likes him, so they've seen those chartings from there, and we can maybe go through and gift some up or something like that. But I mean, these to answer your question, Spartan 7741, people really probably just haven't really watched the Colts because it was such a bad year for them, and all the what they did see was probably at the beginning of the year when Muhort was playing right tackle, and I mean Rex Ryan loves to blitz 8, and they were just constantly blitzing like 7 or 8 people, and it was just no good. So move on to the next question. We already talked about Noah Spence a little bit. Reddit user OncoDoc said, my biggest curiosity right now is Noah Spence. If he's available at 18, would Grigson at all even consider taking him? And that's really honestly the question when it comes to Noah Spence. Like I think he might be there. I think his talent level definitely would be good for that pick. The being kicked out of the Big Ten, the drug thing, that is a big question, and you got to wonder. He said I don't take people with character concerns outside of the 4th round. So I don't know. That's that's kind of one of those ones where you just kind of have to sit back and look and wonder. I mean, but then again, we've talked about this before. He's come back to people and said, "Give me drug tests. I want to take more drug tests." He's interviewed very, very well. So maybe
He's really advocating for himself in a really active way, and that alone, I think, is a positive sign if you're talking about a guy's character, about his willingness and desire to get on the field and be a productive NFL player.
And I think I might have mentioned this on the Inside the Pylon thing we did last week, but he had a post right after Ohio State. So he gets kicked off Ohio State the year before they win the national championship. And he had a post after they won, I should have been out there on the field with my brothers winning the national championship, and that hunger, that desire will never be satisfied. Something along those lines. That's what you want to see in a situation like that, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. Noah Spence is just interesting when it comes to the whole character thing, because us here and other people even on Twitter and people who do draft evaluation, they come out with scouting guides and stuff. They don't have the information that the teams have. They're not, teams will literally go out and interview your 3rd grade teacher.
But people on Twitter are still given like 1 out of 10 character.
Yeah, I know,
and
I'm not going to get there. You guys know my feelings on that. I think that crap is totally bullshit, and that people should stay away from that completely, because you can never know a person unless you talk to the person. And I'm sorry, all you big Twitter people out there, you're not going to know Spence. You're not talking to him, and even if you talk to him for 15 minutes, you don't get to know the guy. These guys, like the NFL teams, they don't really know the guys either. Let's just be straight up honest with ourselves. But they do a lot of homework. They do a lot of homework. Like I said, they'll go and interview your 3rd grade teacher, your ex-girlfriend's father's brother. I mean, like it's serious when it comes to these high draft picks. They're for real.
You got to check if his teammates went to his birthday party.
Wasn't that Connor Cook or something? Is that who you're talking about?
It was from Draft Day, the movie.
Bobby Connor Cook.
Bo Callahan.
Yeah.
I like how I actually thought that a bunch of people didn't go to Connor Cook's birthday.
After the Rose Bowl, people were like comparing Connor Cook to Bo Callahan because he's like that, like Hollywood quarterback, like who's all about himself.
Yeah. Two more, and then we'll be done for the night. This has been fun, by the way. Thank you again, everyone, for sending your questions in. This has been a good conversation for us tonight. At Trigio CR4, thoughts on taking Nick Martin round 2? Sure. Yeah, I like it. I think that would be cool. He's a really good player, and he fits that zone blocking center scheme pretty perfectly. Good pedigree. He's good. Film's good. So
it's the same thing as Kelly. It's not the exciting pick. It's not the flashy pick, but I mean nobody's complaining if he's there that pick.
Yeah, it's a center.
He's a center, and he's a damn good one too. So, I have no problems with that, and I would be pretty ecstatic, to be honest.
I would like to see Luck finally establish a real working relationship with the center over the course of multiple years instead of just changing them out all the time. Just mediocre talent.
Yes.
He had Shipley, man. he had AQ Shipley and Grigson. That Medlin Grigson. He ruined that relationship. I don't know. Hashtag Chuck's Day. At Mike Reed 3. This is a good question, and this might be for Alex here. Oh, actually, he didn't play this year. But would Art Jones be able to kick into nose tackle? If not, who comes off the bench? Jones makes a lot of money to be a rotational guy. I agree. He makes a lot of money, but we need those rotational guys. I don't think some people don't understand the value of a rotation on the defensive line. You can have two really good guys like Henry and Langford, but they need to take a break every once in a while. And when you have a guy as good as Jones to be able to come in if he's healthy, that would be awesome, honestly.
Yeah, I'm still not sure what the Colts are doing at nose tackle with Perry. Obviously, someone with a little higher pass rushing upside compared to Perry would be nice. But I think Kerr right now is pretty much that second nose tackle guy. And Kerr can play anywhere, and that's good because with Anderson coming back late, probably off PUP because he's getting injured, Art Jones, his health is always a concern, or just any injury whatsoever. Having Kerr with that versatility is good, but he really had some good snaps at nose tackle.
Alex.
Yeah. Do they always play Kerr at nose tackle, or do they
what I have right now is almost twice as much as three technique, and a lot of that has to do is once Anderson went down, they rotated a bunch of guys like Billy Wynn, T.Y. McGill, and Kerr at 3-tech, and so what they would do is on a lot of third downs they would play 2 3-techs, and they would plug Kerr into that a lot, and to answer the Art Jones question in this, Art Jones could play 1-tech. I'm not sure if he's better than Perry at this point, and I don't think Perry is weird because he's not by any means unreplaceable. I would love an upgrade over him, but he's not somebody you're going to seek out an upgrade because there are bigger needs elsewhere. And you have enough guys on this team who can give you meaningful snaps all over the place, including one technique, like a Zach Kerr, like even a Kendall Legford occasionally, and that gives you enough versatility to keep a deep rotation while also keeping Perry on the starting line.
Hey.
But I like her as a nose. I think he's going to offer some good snaps there, wherever he is.
But in the draft, if we get to pick 18 and they take Andrew Billings,
right. That's why I really want a defensive lineman in one of these first 2 rounds, one of these really good nose tackles. Because if you get Perry off the bench and you get once Henderson comes back healthy, you get a second line consisting of Perry, Kerr, and Arthur Jones, you're set.
Mm-hmm.
You're set for the future with Anderson and whoever this rookie is, and Perry to some degree, and then all these great guys coming off the bench. We love our defensive line right now, but it would be a legitimate top unit in the league.
So prior to Anderson going down and throwing everything out of whack, just how often generally do they have that 0 or 1-tech on the field?
They have a 1-tech. Let's see, it's right here.
Sorry, guys, I'm just satisfying my own curiosity right now.
90%. You have 90% of snaps with a 1-tech, and then 4% with a 0-tech.
When Anderson was on the field, or
just any.
Just at all times.
Yeah, well, I only have 2 games without Anderson right now, so most of my data is for him. But they play a one tech almost 90% of the snaps.
Yeah, even when they move into nickel.
Yep. Nickel is you keep the one tech, although once Anderson went down, they like to use 2-3 techs. But in nickel, yeah, you usually have let me get this really quick. It's a 2-4-5 with somebody at 3 tech and somebody at 1 tech.
This is why we pay you the big bucks, Alex. Yeah, I mean, your paycheck is pretty large.
I would really like to get that dominant athlete at that 1 tech, though.
It would.
Yeah.
In addition to Langford and Henry, oh man, that'd be so much fun.
Because
it'd be so much fun.
Like, I was initially not on board with like a Sheldon Rankins, and I'm not sure if he's a 1 tech, but any of these other guys, because we just need this one gapping person to go wreak havoc, and especially at 1 tech who could hold up against the run and offer any pass rush, which Andrew Billings isn't a great pass rusher, but he would be better than Perry.
Do you think Chris Jones can play 1 tech?
Yeah, I wrote about that, and I didn't mention 1 tech, but I think that's a position where he might start on this team after Henry comes back, because I think Langford's a better player than Perry at this point, and Jones is 310, I think, somewhere 300, and big enough to play 1 tech. He's not going to be heads up. He's not going to be 2 gapping. So I really like him anywhere, but a 1 tech would be fine with me.
Yeah, and so I mean, realistically, looking at like that 1 0 tech, I don't know who's echoing, but anyways, Andrew Billings in the first, Vernon Butler maybe in the first. I don't know. Kenny Clark.
Really like Kenny Clark.
Javen Hargrave. The Colts were at his pro day today. He's
any of those 3 guys in like the 2nd or 3rd round would be just amazing, man.
It'd be awesome.
It could happen because this D-line class is just so stacked and names are getting lost in the pile, you know?
Yeah, I mean, Kenny Clark.
I think wide receivers are gonna. I think there's gonna be a lot of wide receivers going round 1. I know people are low on this class. It's not like the other 2. I still think guys like Mike Thomas, Will Fuller are going round 1. And I think there's really going to be a lot of D linemen. I still think Connor Cook goes round 1 too. So I think there really is going to be a lot of D line. Like round 2, there's probably going to be like 10 D linemen taken.
Man, now I'm getting all excited.
Getting all excited and watch Grigson just take Conklin, followed by like Dominique Robertson, followed by Evan Boehm. Just 1, 2, 3, and we're in a factory of sadness.
God, you guys are always just hating on Grigson.
Always hating on Grigson.
So annoying.
No.
Why can't you just root for your team?
I do root for my team. Look behind me. Mike McGlynn's ass is permanently attached to my wall behind me right here. Like I love the Colts.
I root for the chaos first and foremost.
Yes, the draft chaos is always great, honestly. So
yeah.
I gotta go to sleep. To be honest, I gotta be up super early tomorrow. So everyone who listened live, thank you very much. Everyone who sent us in a question, thank you. This was a fun podcast. We're glad to answer your guys' questions, hopefully to the best of our abilities. And we might do this again sometime. I don't know. Draft is less than a month away now. So
how many? We would have 3 more podcasts till the draft.
Probably 3 more podcasts until the draft. Yeah, to be honest, which is pretty crazy. So we'll comment, like, if you guys have something like you want us to do as a feature for a podcast, comment on the stuff, tweet us, send me a message on Twitter. We'll try and do some cool stuff. I'm still trying to get everyone's favorite Canadian on the podcast at my Colts accounts. If you're listening, I want you on this podcast, and I think our listeners do too. And then we can maybe get Kyle back in here, and then we're still working on what we're planning on doing for the draft, but what we had talked about was maybe doing mini podcasts after each round or each day, just to kind of wrap up, see what we think, see what the next round would hold, and kind of do that. And
we need to have a podcast just like where we close off, because I know Draft Breakdown does it. Higdon and Seth Cox and Justice do this. Like, we need to close off with like 15 minutes of hot takes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I want the draft to go well, and I want them to take players that we like. But those couple days after the draft are going to be so much more fun.
I'm saying pre-draft. So I think like right before, we should just do like close off with, like every draft hot take we have. But then obviously a post-draft one would be fun too.
Yeah.
Because last
and then,
year after the Dorsett pick, I was just raging out, and then they got Anderson and like some people that we really liked, and it turned out okay. So that's like kind of the ideal scenario, I think, is we get that even balance of rage and quality players.
yeah, like Emmanuel Agba round 1, and then
Gregson, why?
and then you get like somehow Andrew Billings is there, and then Artie Burns and
like Ramsey's in the 4th. What?
Honestly, Conklin could be a 4th round player in this draft. Let's be straight up. He's not. That would be the one that I think would be interesting if we were still to draft Conklin, but like in the 3rd round or something like that, and then we could say, hey, all you guys are correct. Just 2 rounds off. Anyways, again, thanks everyone for listening. We'll be back next week, and look forward to Jay, who's not with us tonight. Jay has got a really, really good article coming out, I think Friday, talking about the 3-cone drill and defensive linemen and Grigson's tendencies over the past few years to grab people with really high 3-cone drill scores. So that one's coming out.
And I'll call Joseph on
Carl
Monday.
Joseph's coming out. I am still deciding on who I want to write on next. So we'll get that coming out, and then
I think I'll write about Vernon Butler from Louisiana.
There you go. So there's Vernon Butler. I might look at some later round guys. Maybe like an inside linebacker like Blake Martinez, who I like, or someone like that. Someone who's not a high round character or not a high round names thrown around a lot. He's probably a high round character because he's a Stanford guy, right? So
yeah, they're all just really nice people.
Yeah.
Automatically.
Right, So we got stuff coming out, and again, everyone, thanks again for listening, and we'll see you next time.